First up, we got Joel Kim Booster. Comedian and actor Joel Kim Booster shared his thoughts on Dave Chappelle's homophobic and racist joke about Asians in his Netflix special Sticks and Stones. In an interview with All of It, the Korean American responded to the joke, which includes Chappelle doing a racist impression of a Chinese person, in an effort to make a jab at trans people. Chappelle joked that if trans people were born in the wrong body, he could apply that same logic to race, then making a point to include that his wife is Asian. When asked about the joke, Booster said, quote, "It's kind of sad. I think Chappelle used to have really interesting and precedent things to say about power structures and things like that, and I just don't think he's interested in dismantling that anymore. At least not from an interesting place, or at least not from beyond his own point of view, which in his right as a comic I guess, but I felt a little bit, I don't know, old when I watched it."
Dan Levy, known for his popular comedy show Schitt's Creek, or by us millennials as the host of The Hills After Show. Memories. I wonder if Lauren Conrad is a fan of Schitt's Creek. Dan Levy has been no stranger to vocalizing his opinions on injustices in the world. After the very controversial Netflix special by comedian Dave Chappelle, Dan Levy took to Instagram to join in on the critiques and vocalize his opinion. He said he stands with every employee at Netflix using their voice to ensure a safe and supportive work environment. He also said there isn't a debate around the harmfulness of transphobia. In our number 4 spot, we have Jameela Jamil, another celeb that I love. If you haven't seen The Good Place, then you haven't lived. She is truly so funny and just a downright icon, along with literally everybody in that cast, so go watch it now. After the release of Dave Chappelle's Netflix special, Jameela attended a rally in California and supposedly took part in a video for the Netflix CEO discussing the repercussions from allowing Dave Chappelle's show to be shared. She also took to Twitter and wrote, "I really wish I hadn't seen Chappelle's closing show. I hope he stays away for a long time, maybe until this legit obsession with undermining trans people goes away. Such a smart man, so willfully misinformed and committed to show us what an out-of-touch bellend he's becoming."
Following Chappelle's controversial comments about the trans community in his latest special, The Closer, rock band Eve 6 decided to share their thoughts on Twitter. During the special, Chappelle labeled himself a TERF and said that gender is a fact, even adding every person in the world had to pass through a woman's legs to be on Earth, then adding that genitalia the trans women have is like Beyond Meat or the Impossible Burger. The band later tweeted about the comments, quote, "Dave Chappelle says Twitter isn't a real place, and he's right. The real places are the alleys and underpasses where trans people on the margins are because of societal prejudice that he is lazily defending under the pretense of intellectual bravery." However, many criticized this tweet, saying the band missed the full picture about what was said in the special. Next up, Key and Peele. Dave Chappelle is beloved by those in the comedy world other than Key and Peele. This is because Chappelle threw some shade at the pair during an interview with Gayle King for CBS. During that interview, Chappelle admitted that it hurt him to see the pair using the types of comedy that he fought hard to establish during Chappelle's show without any credit. He said, quote, "I fought very hard when I watched Key and Peele, and I see they're doing a format that I created, and at the end of the show it says created by Key and Peele. That hurts my feelings." The pair never directly responded to Chappelle's accusations, but Jordan Peele indirectly responded on Twitter. After a few fans were speaking amongst themselves that Key and Peele stole Dave's show, Peele responded in a tweet of his own, responding, quote, "Everything's gonna be alright fellas," along with a photo of him and Chappelle speaking. Next up, the organization GLAAD. After Chappelle premiered his latest comedy special, backlash flooded in about his jokes against the LGBT+ community. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation organization even tweeted condemning Chappelle. They wrote, quote, "Dave Chappelle's brand has become synonymous with ridiculing trans people and other marginalized communities. Negative reviews and viewers loudly condemning his latest special is a message to the industry that audiences don't support platforming anti-LGBTQ diatribes. We agree." And this is just one of many organizations that have spoken out against Chappelle and his jokes that target the community.
In our number 3 spot, we have Tim Allen, arguably one of the best Christmas movie actors from the 90s, and I'm obviously including Arnold Schwarzenegger from Jingle All the Way. Anyone? Okay, of course, Macaulay Culkin as well. Yes, him too. The Santa Claus and Toy Story actor went on the TV show The View and chatted to the ladies of the show about political correctness in comedy today. He took a stand for all comedians in chatting about how we now can't even speak about books written by some of the comedians he grew up with and whom he recognized as greats. He went on to say that when he's doing stand-up in big arenas, he now has to explain his intent behind his words, which he hates because this stems from a very 1984 thought police type place, which arguably is quite true.
Next up, Jacqueline Moore. Like I said above, Chappelle's special The Closer has generated tons of backlash from the LGBT+ community, specifically trans people. Jacqueline Moore is one of those people. She's a trans writer for shows like Dear White People and the upcoming Peacock reboot of Queer as Folk. But she said on Twitter following the special that she is done with Netflix for supporting Chappelle's jokes. Moore tweeted, quote, "I love so many of the people that I've worked with at Netflix. Brilliant people and executives who've been collaborative and fought for important art. But I've been thrown against walls because I'm not a real woman, and I've had beer bottles thrown at me, so Netflix, I'm done." Adding in another tweet, quote, "I will not work with them as long as they continue to put out and profit from blatantly and dangerously transphobic content." After the tweets, it was reported that Jacqueline Moore along with 2 other Netflix staff were suspended for tweeting about the show, but it was revealed after that they were actually suspended for trying to crash a meeting that was happening between the bigwigs at the company. It seems that Chappelle is not fazed by the backlash, and even said following the backlash at another stand-up show, quote, "If this is what being cancelled is like, I love it," he said as the crowd gave him a standing ovation. And finally, at number 1, Dave Chappelle himself. The person who does the most to warn us about Dave Chappelle is himself, as he continues to make jokes that he knows will get him cancelled, although he doesn't really seem to care. After facing tons of backlash for The Closer, he told a Los Angeles crowd, quote, "If this is what being cancelled is like, I love it." He continued by trashing liberal-leaning organizations, saying, quote, "F Twitter, F NBC News, ABC News, all of these stupid networks. I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to you. This is real life." In many of his specials, Dave addresses the LGBT community and tries to respond to the claims that they've made about him from his controversial jokes. He even jokingly called himself a, quote, "transphobic comedian" in his latest special, leaning into the names that the media has given him. At this time, it seems that Dave might know he's pushed the limits of his comedy too far, as he announced he is going to be taking a break from comedy following the release of his special. He even ended off his last show saying he will no longer be making jokes about the LGBT community, saying, quote, "I am not telling another joke about you until we are both sure we are laughing together. I'm telling you, I'm done. I'm done talking. All I ask from your community with all humility, will you please stop punching down on my people?" Which was a controversial reference insinuating that LGBTQ+ community is punching down on the black community.
In our number 2 spot today, we have Wanda Sykes. Gosh, I cannot say this enough, but I love Wanda Sykes. She is truly an icon, and I cannot tell you a movie of hers that I didn't love, and yeah, she's just great. Wanda spoke out and said this, quote, "To me, that's the one thing I will say to a comic. Hey man, that's wrong. You can't say that. Because I personally know kids who have been kicked out of their homes because that is who they are. And also, the joke just isn't funny."